Hey there, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to finish the Wordle game that we started. So we're going to add a keyboard, we're going to use the official word list, and we're going to fix the bug where if I typed in 5 S's, you can see that we get 5 hints, but the word is squid, and there's only one S in the word, so only the green hint should show up. And if you did not see part 1, I will leave a link for part 1 down below in the description, so make sure you go check that out first. Alright, so let's start by updating our update function. So we're going to create a map so that we can keep track of the number of times each letter appears in the word. So let letter count. And basically, if the word were Kenny, the map would look like this. Okay, so we have 1K, 1E, 2 N's, and 1 Y. And then let's fill our map. So for let I equals 0, I less than word.length, I plus plus. If the letter is in the map, so if letter count of letter count of letter plus equal 1. Otherwise, we set it to 1. Alright, so we have our map. Now let's iterate through the guess word, and we're going to do it twice. So the first time, we're going to check to see if there are any letters in the correct position. And while we're doing that, we're going to update this map. And then the second time we iterate, we're going to check to see if there are letters that are not in the correct position. And we're going to use the map that we updated to make sure we don't get any duplicates. So first, iteration, check all the correct ones. And then I'm going to copy and paste this. And over here, we're going to write go again and mark which ones are present but in wrong position. Okay, so for this one, we don't need these two. And what I'm going to add is, over here, we're going to update our map, our letter count. So this means we found one instance of this letter, so we can deduct the count by 1. So letter count of letter minus equal 1. And then over here, we're going to get rid of this. So let's get rid of this. And similarly, we're going to do letter count of letter minus equal to 1. Now, if we find a letter in the word, we also want to check to make sure that in our word map, we have letters remaining so that we can apply the hints. So over here, we're going to do in letter count of letter is greater than 0. Now, the thing is, we also want to make sure that the current tile does not have this style class, because if we add a present style class, it's going to override it. So if it has a green background, it's going to override it so that it has a yellow one. So before we make this check, we want to add another conditional statement. So if not curtile dot class list dot contains correct, we make this check. Okay, so that should be it. Oh, and let's get rid of this one because, well, if you make it to this for loop, that means you didn't get everything correct, right? So we don't need this. So now if I refresh and I typed in 5 S's, let's see, is there a bug somewhere? Letter is not defined, line 74. Oh. Letter is equal to word of I. Oops. Okay. Alright, so now if I typed in 5 S's, you can see only the first S is highlighted. And then if I typed in 4 S's here, only one of them is yellow. Okay, so we fixed that bug. Now let's grab the official word list from Wordle and add it to our code. So to do that, you just go on the Wordle website and right click, inspect. We're going to go to sources so we can check out the source code. And let's click this file, pretty print, and let's look for it. So I'm just going to type in any 5-letter word. Let's say squid. Oh, there it is. And let's copy this code. So let's paste it in our code, and it's going to be a really long array. I'm just going to rename the variable names. So this is the word list, and the second one is the guess list. And because the word list does not appear in the guess list, we need to concatenate the two of them so that all these words are available in our guess list. So guess list is equal to guess list dot concat word list. Okay, so now our guess list will have both these arrays. Now let's set a random word from this word list. So let's comment this out. And now the word would be word list. We're going to get a random index. So to do that, it is math.floor, math.random times word list.length. And then we need to make it uppercase. Okay. And the way this works is math.random gets a number between 0 and 1. We multiply it by the length, and because the random is between 0 and 1, there are decimals in them. So that's why we use floor, so that we can chop off the decimals. And this will spit out a random index that we can grab a random word from. And let's also log the word so we know what it is. Alright, so if I refresh and I right click inspect console, we can see the word is terse. And if I refresh again and again, you can see what the words are. Now we need to update our update code again to make sure that we are using a word in our guess that exists in the possible list of guesses. So we're going to do start processing game. So before we do any of this, we're going to do let guess is equal to an empty string and document.getElementById answer. We're going to use this answer tag to populate the message word not in list. So first we're going to set the inner text to an empty string, and then let's string up the guess word. So for let c equals 0, c less than width, c++, let cur tile equal to document.getElementById row.toString plus the dash plus c.toString, and let letter equal to cur tile.innerText guess plus equal letter. And then we need to make sure that our guess is in lowercase because the guess list has all the words in lowercase. So guess is equal to guess.toLowercase. And then we're going to do if not guess list dot includes guess. We're going to update the tag. So over here, we're going to add a message. So let's just copy and paste this. And we're going to write not in word list. And then we'll return. So once we return, because the guess is not valid, we're not going to process the guess. And let's also, over here, if the guess is not valid, we don't want to put them onto the next row. So let's copy and paste this and put it down here. Alright, so now if I save and refresh and I type in 5 S's, you can see not in word list. I'll backspace and put in shark, okay, tiles, and let's see what the word is. So woven, so if I put woman and then woven, or let's see if I can, is there a 5-letter word that begins with a V? Okay, so you can see there's a yellow V here, so everything's working properly. And let's just guess, and there you go. Alright, so all that's left to do is add the keyboard. Alright, so for the keyboard, what happened here? Looks like New York Times got a bug on their website. Anyway, there are 3 rows for our keyboard, and we're going to reuse some code that we did for our tiles and create style classes for each key. So let's go and do that. So first, let's create a keyboard row class. So there are 3 of these, and the width is going to be 400 pixels. Let's center it, margin 0 auto, and display flex so that the keys can stay within the row, and flex wrap. Okay, so key tile. So this is basically going to use the same code as this. So let's highlight this, press Shift and Tab at the same time. Alright, so let's change the border to be 1 pixel, and let's make the height 40 and width 40, and the margin, let's make it 1 pixel, and the text, we don't need that. Font size, let's make it 20 pixels, bold, flex, centered. Alright, and let's copy and paste this and make one for the enter key tile, because the word is long, so we need to double the width so that we can accommodate that key. So enter key tile, we're going to make the width 80, or let's make it 76. 80 might be a little too long. Alright, so yep, that's it for styling, I think. Let's go to our JavaScript code. And similarly, we're going to use JavaScript to populate the keyboard. So over here, create the keyboard. So our keyboard looks like this. So we have the first row, Q, W, E, and I'm just going to cut the video here so that you don't have to watch me type all that. And I'll leave the keyboard code in the description below. Alright, so here's our keyboard. It's an array of 3 arrays. Alright, so now let's do for let I is equal to 0, I less than keyboard.length, I plus plus. So for the first row, let's grab that row, keyboard I, and let's let keyboard row. We're going to create a new element, div, and let's style it. So classless dot add keyboard row. So it's just going to set the width and center it. And then let's loop through all the keys inside that row and create a tile for each key and place it within the keyboard row. So for let j equals 0, j less than cur row dot length, j plus plus, let key tile is equal to document dot create element, div, and let key equal to cur row j, key tile dot enter text. We're going to set it to that key, so it's going to be Q, then W, E, R, T, and so on. So inner text is equal to the key, and if key is equal to enter, we're going to create a click handler. So we're going to reuse this code here that listens for our key presses, and so we're going to cut it out and create a function for it. So function process input, it takes in an event, and let's highlight this, shift tab. Alright, so now over here we're going to call that function process input and pass an E, and so we can reuse the same function for our keyboard. So over here we're going to set the ID to enter, and when we press a key we're going to set the code as the ID. So else if key is equal to this icon, so the backspace, we're going to set the ID to backspace. Else if it's somewhere between A and Z, we're going to set the ID to key plus key. So it'd be like key plus A all the way to Z. And if you remember, that is the key code. So after that, let's add the event listener. So keyTile.add event listener. And we're going to listen for a click and call process key. So let's create a function, process key, and we're going to create an event. So E is equal to code, and that'll be this.id. And then we'll call process input. Okay, so now key up and key click will both use the same process input function. And then after that, let's check to see if key is equal to enter. We're going to add that style class. So key.classList, or actually keyTile.classList.add enter keyTile. Else, we're going to set it to keyTile. And then we're going to add the key to the keyboard row. So keyboard row dot append child keyTile. And then after we created that row, we're going to append it to the body. So document.body.append child keyboard row. So it's going to append it in our body tag. So it's going to add row 1, row 2, row 3, like that. Alright, so if we refresh, the keyboard's not here, so maybe we have a typo. So line 47, this should be keyboard row. Alright, so we refresh, our styling's off, so let's go back and see. The width should be 38 because the 1 pixel creates 1 pixel to the left and right, so we want to account for the 2 pixels, so we take 40 minus 2. And then we also have this margin, so we also need to do another subtraction of 1 pixel and 1 pixel for left and right, so it should be 36 pixels. Alright, so if I refresh and I typed in a guess, so let's say power. Okay, what about queen? Apple. You can see that we have yellow tiles here. We need to apply that style change to our keyboard. So let's go do that. So over here, when we add the correct style class to our tile, we're going to do the same thing for our key tile. So let key tile is equal to document.getElementById key plus letter, and key tile, we're going to remove, just in case, any instances of the yellow background, so present, and we're going to add correct. And let's also do the same thing over here. So let's copy and paste this. And I'm going to make a check. So over here, we don't want to add the present style class if it already has a correct style class. So if keyTile.classList.contains correct, so we want to negate this, so not. So if it does not contain correct, we can put this in here, change this to add, and let's get rid of this. Okay, so if the tile class does not have the correct style, you can apply the present style. Alright, so let's refresh. If I put in power, you can see O's and E's lit up. So what could this word be? Words? No. Oh. Yeah, I'm not good at this game. Let's see. Boats. Okay, so now we have a B. I'm just going to take a peek. And let's see. Biome. Yeah, I would have never guessed that word. Okay. And then you can see all the yellow ones turned green. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial. And if you found this tutorial helpful, please leave a like. Let me know down below in the comments and consider subscribing. I do have other content on this channel and I will be uploading weekly. I hope you enjoyed making Wordle. Unfortunately, you can't sell it because New York Times has it. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.